You're good. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Playmaker podcast. Obviously, deafness here. We got Nate, we got Brady, we got Balls. We'll let them go ahead and do their introductions as always. So, Nate, why don't you start it off and why don't you take a little victory lap with your checkered flag and wave it around us a little bit and just do what you need to do to start this off here for us.
Definitely a very good victory Tuesday. Coffee tastes a little better this morning. The sun was shining. That workout for ball they posted today felt a little different today. They felt different today. Felt good. Felt good, but it's early in the season, so like it happen, like it changed, but I'm definitely gonna take this in. So feeling good today.
Well, as I like to say, I think a lot of people, a lot of us seem to think we have the season already figured out after 2 weeks or whatever, and it's too early in the season for that. But congratulations on your stomping of my Minnesota Vikings. We'll get into more of it later. Balls wants to debate a little tonight, like we're Biden Trump or something. So we'll get that going here. Call each other a couple names, if you will. Brady, what's up, man? How you doing? How's your week been? How's it been since last week? What's going on? Talk to us.
No, it's good. It was a chill, relaxing weekend. I watched the Bears get absolutely smashed on Sunday night, and I watched the terrible half of football and then went and did some work. So I didn't get to watch the second half, which they put a little bit better in. But
yeah.
We'll see how the rest of the season goes.
Right. All right, Balls. MB, what up, buddy? How's the workouts coming?
Workouts are going good, man. We just passed day 10, so feeling pretty good on those. But it's the same old week, same old Bears against the Packers, unfortunately. It's whatever.
I just want one primetime game where we don't get embarrassed. Just make it competitive. That's it. We don't need to win.
Not only that, here's my plea to the NFL. Just take it off Sunday Night Football. Nobody likes that game anymore. Just get it off Sunday Night Football.
No, yeah, I hear you, man. And I kind of myself was hoping for a little bit different outcome, but wow, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, did he really always get those two mixed up around the same squad? But did he really have himself a game? We'll get into more to that when we go game by game. But anyway, so guys, I don't think we hit our goal of comments. I'm almost certain we didn't. I have to go back and look. So I guess we're going to try to run it one more week. Someone else can confirm that, but I'm pretty sure we didn't hit 20 plus different people commenting. Someone can confirm that with me. If it is different right now, then cool. We'll run that, or we can do it at the end of the show. But guys, please, after these upload, please drop comments, questions, topics, whatever it may be that you want. Please do it so we can get after it and make it happen. So let's dive in. Brady, you said there was some important stuff happening in MLB. We're going to do a little MLB. We're going to do a little bit of boogity oogie. Let's go racing, fellas. Only left turns, maybe a right if you're in California and Sonoma driving. But we're going to cover a few other little things besides NFL tonight because the boys felt it was important. They started screaming at me in the chat room. So here we are. Brady, you set it off. You started off. Let's go.
Screaming at you by asking one question. No, I just think as we kind of enter in towards the final stretch of the baseball season, there's a couple interesting storylines happening here. I think the number one that everybody kind of has been talking about is the AL MVP race, and that's the Judge or Ohtani. I've seen that taken over a couple timelines over the last week or so. So I just wanted to get your guys' reaction on if you had to pick AL MVP. Are you going with Shohei Ohtani or are you going with Judge? And does it matter if he actually breaks the 61 mark, which was set by Roger Maris? We'll start with Nate. Nate, what do you think?
So, as much as I want to get to Ohtani because obviously he plays, he can pitch and get hit for you, but you got to get to Judges here, especially if he hits breaks the 61 mark, which would be huge just for that team and for him. So I say Judge. I say Judge should get this year. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as Nate when it comes to it. I saw some numbers, and I don't know how accurate they are now, but it was a meme, so God knows it was correct. It was on the internet. but it showed Judge, like, batting wise, that he's like first in every single category. And I think you take him off that Yankees team. That Yankees team's kind of garbage as is. I mean, we're comparing two garbage teams. I think if we take Judge off that Yankees team this year, it's a whole different discussion about the Yankees. And you're talking Judge bet on himself this year. You know, he could have took a contract from the Yankees, but he said, I'm going to go into free agency and do it myself this upcoming year. It bet on himself, and it won. So I would lean Judge this year.
I love the comment. I love the finish there with balls. I love the putting it on himself, like working for it, seeing what he can really do, and letting his bat and his play, his defensive play talk. You know, and again, I think sometimes we kind of underestimate the size of this guy, like how real big he is and how tall he is. And, you know, as much as we say that could be an advantage, like in a game of baseball, like you don't see guys this size being able to do what he can do and put up the kind of numbers he does. And balls, he hit on the head with it, you know, he being pretty much number one in all those different areas. You know, Ohtani just gives you that different swing because he's also pitching every so once in a while. But I think at the same time, we know he's a good pitcher, so I think that can almost give him more of a benefit of a doubt or advance him a little bit more than, say, just a straight positional player, if you will, because he's doing both positional and pitching. But then again, he's also putting himself up there to get smoked or get burned in some games and not have good outings pitching. I'm going to take Judge. I'm going to run with Judge, and I absolutely hate the Yankees. I'm not a Yankee fan whatsoever. They always destroy my Twins anytime we get in any wild card games or anything else. It's never a good outcome for us in Minnesota. But he is just on a different level. He is just a different beast this year, and I don't see Ohtani beating him. Brady, what are your thoughts?
Well, there's a couple things that I kind of brought up at one point when I was having a discussion with somebody, is that people talk about the historic season that Judge is having, but I think we often very quickly forget that Shohei Ohtani this has never happened in the history of the game. Babe Ruth did it for a season and a half, and then he stopped pitching, right? And it's not only that he's doing it on both sides of the baseball diamond, he's also doing it at a high level, right? Judge obviously is the best hitter in baseball this year, without a doubt. I think Ohtani's maybe an all-star hitter and an all-star pitcher, right? I'm just going to go through their stats. 35 homers for Ohtani, 90 RBIs, 11 steals, 270. And then on the mound this year, he's better than he was last year. He's got 25 starts, 150 innings pitched, 200 strikeouts, and an ERA of 2.4. Right, so you look at that, and that's an ace. That's an ace level stuff, along with 35 bombs. I also just wonder how much is this market play. If Judge is not in New York, is this a conversation? If Ohtani isn't buried in LA, where half the country doesn't see him every night, is this even a conversation? I think Judge wins it if he hits 62, but I don't agree that Judge should be the. I think it's got to be Ohtani. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and I'm not necessarily thinking there's a right answer. So,
except Alex Bernard, he's not entitled to any opinions.
Alex is just Jags all day, every stream.
Go
Alex,
Jag off somewhere else.
We get it, brother. You're a Jags fan. We get it, bro. We get it. All right.
No, I think Brady makes a really good point with Ohtani being out west. One of the rumors is that supposedly the Cubs are going to be in on Ohtani if he's available via trade this year.
That would be interesting.
Makes you wonder, if Ohtani was putting up these numbers with the Cubs in Chicago, then we're talking two markets that, LA is a big market, but nobody cares about the Angels out there. It's about the Dodgers. Right. So we're talking a totally different market where the Cubs control that market. We could have a totally different conversation, but I think Brady brings up a great point with the market. That New York market, that East Coast bias is going to drive it. So I agree.
And that's not saying that Aaron Judge doesn't deserve it if he wins, right? That it's just it would be a totally different conversation if he wasn't a New York Yankee.
Yeah, and a couple things here.
Deck just got the dog all going.
All right. Yeah, that's the joys of having a 10-week-old puppy. All right. Then you got Zoe getting wound up. All right. Anyway, so that kind of dives us into where the MLB is sitting right now. I just kind of looked over the standings. Haven't been paying attention as much lately on the MLB side as far as standings go because my Twins just aren't. I don't know. They just lost their steam. The pitcher's been out all the time, getting hurt. Buxton gone. Ever since Buxton pretty much has been out of the lineup and hurt like he is every year, we just started plumbling down in that AL there. But a couple teams, the highlighted teams to really look at is you got the teams that have already clinched. The Astros 97-51, the Mets 94-55, the Dodgers 102-44. And then you got the likes at the top, so the Yankees at 88-58, the Guardians 80-67, and the Cardinals 87-61. And a couple of those divisions, they're not guaranteed. Those last three teams, it's anybody's race still, right? It's not clinched. There's no for sure's. We don't really know with the rest of the games that still stand. But looking at that, like the Astros, Mets, Dodgers, right? The Yankees, Guardians, Cardinals as the kind of the top tier teams of each division as it stands right now. Is there anybody out there that's going to be able to take out these Dodgers? Or do you feel like the Dodgers have what it's going to take? I mean, they've already won 102 games this season. They look like they can dominate. Is there a team out there that you feel in, say, if it gets the World Series, that can actually take down these Dodgers?
I think a team that comes to mind is the defending world champions, and that is the Atlanta Braves. They are one game back in the division in the NL East, so they will be a wild card team no matter what. I don't trust the Mets because of their history of absolutely blowing it, and I don't like the Cardinals just because everybody on their roster is 407 years old. But I think you give the Braves another shot. You got some decent pitching there. Acuna is finally starting to hit a little bit. It's still a dangerous team. So that would be on the National League side for me. On the American League, I think it's basically the Astros to lose at this point. There's not really even any other teams that are like as well put together as they are. It would be I don't want to say a failure, but it would be a disappointment if they don't end up in the World Series.
And how crazy it is, like they lose someone a couple years ago, like Correa, right? They lose some of these top bats, and yet they still. It just shows you like how well like that Pena kid comes and pretty much takes his place. Isn't quite putting up Correa numbers, but still fills right in, and it's almost like they don't miss a beat. So
yeah, Framber Valdez set the single season record for most quality starts in a row, and it's like 26 straight quality starts, which is nuts.
Insane. It's absolutely insane.
And if there's one team that we haven't discussed that it's maybe a little bit of local bias, but if somehow the Chicago White Sox can get in, they are one of the most talented teams in the league. Now, they haven't put it together this year, but they have an ace in Dylan Cease that when he goes out there, teams aren't going to put up runs against that Chicago White Sox team. And the way it's set up right now, if the Sox are going to make the playoffs, make that push, he's set up to pitch in the wild card game and then may see, depending on when they play, he may get enough of a break to where he could come and actually pitch game 1 and game 4 of the next series. That was something I heard on Redline Radio. So while they're not leading that division right now, they'll have to win the division to get in. If the White Sox can get in there, they're kind of a team that, who knows, they've got to get hot. They haven't got hot. They haven't looked good all year.
And healthy.
And healthy. But can they catch lightning in a bottle? Because they got the arms to do it. I just don't know if they're the team to come out of that side. But it's definitely, I think, a two-team race, like we've said.
And isn't it kind of crazy how late in the season we are right now? And we were talking about this pre-MLB start, but like preseason, whatever you want to say, off-season, going into the season, how stacked the White Sox looked and how they were going to be division favorites probably, and they were going to dominate. They had the pitching and all. They had the bats. They had the lineup. That's just, I mean, it's just
I've
it's
jokingly
crazy
said
to see where they're at now. I mean, they still can get there, but it just goes to show you, like on paper, just like in anything, on paper everything looks so great, but until you go out there and play, it's anyone's game, and anyone can beat anybody on any given day. So
I've jokingly said that I would much rather be a Cubs fan this year than a White Sox fan. And that's because the Cubs, they knew it was a growing year. It's a figure it out.
Yep.
I mean, what a disappointing season for the White Sox. Obviously living in Chicago, I have a lot of friends that are White Sox fans, and they are just beside themselves on how all this talent can end up being hurt. And you have Giolito not performing this year. You have Robert who couldn't stay on the field earlier. And then you have the whole debacle with Tony La Russa and if he should be the manager, and then he had a medical issue and they don't know when he's coming back. It's just been an absolutely lost season for the White Sox. It's been terrible.
all right, anything else we want to add on the MLB? I mean, we weren't going to spend a ton of time on it, but there's a couple things. Brady, was there anything else you wanted to bring up or talk on?
No, I think that's good.
All right, anything on the NASCAR boogity oogity let's go racing? Is how close are we to playoff time in the Cup run here or whatever? Can anybody tell me who won last week's race?
Oh, it was let's call it Chris Buescher.
Oh, really?
For Roush Fenway.
I know who that guy is. I can put a face to the name. I've ripped enough NASCAR hobby boxes, personals for people. I can put that face. He's like number 47 or something, isn't he? Something like that. I don't know. Maybe I got it off a little bit. Something. He's close. All right. And who's at the top of the Cup standings?
It's Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott's doing what he always does, sitting kind of floating above the tops there. Where's our boys of the likes of like Truex and Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch, and how about the who's that kid? There's a couple kids. How about Cole Custer? How's he doing?
I can give you the top 10.
Give me the top 10. I want to see it because I haven't looked at it in a while.
Elliott 1, Logano 2, Chastain 3, Kyle Larson 4, Byron 5, Denny Hamlin 6, Bell 7, Blaney 8, Briscoe 9, and Bowman 10.
Wow, we got a lot of youngsters in the top 10.
Yeah.
Briscoe, Chastain.
Yeah.
I mean, Bell. Like, what is there? Four or five of those names are like they're like first, second, or third year racers at max. And a couple of those kids are young, so that's actually pretty crazy. T-Cub just showed up at the right time. He talking NASCAR here. We should get T-Cub on the stream. He can give us his VIP box reports on all these racers. Kyle Busch is out now. Kurt Busch is injured, so he isn't racing. So neither Busch boy is even racing right now.
Yeah.
What they decided they're brothers. They're going to get hurt at the same race, or what? Did they break a pinky turning the wheel, or what happened here? What's going on? How do you get hurt in NASCAR unless you're in a big crash? I know Kurt Busch. Yeah, Kurt Busch crashed like back in Pocono, but so he's been out for a while. Kyle Busch just got out because he just kept wrecking and they like that essentially. And then Trex just missed it before the playoffs started. So just say it, balls. Say it. Unmute yourself.
I was just going to be like, where's Jeff Gordon in these rankings? Clearly, I know Jeff Gordon.
Where he is?
Yeah,
commentating. You know what, fellas? He's got a really tough car. His tread is sticking a little bit greater than it is. He's keeping those wheels warm as he turns that corner four there, guys.
So, Nate, here's my question then. Nate, here's my question then.
Yeah.
What races should I care about going down the rest of the way? Are there any big races that I should be paying attention to on a football Sunday moving forward?
So I'm pretty sure they got one more race at like a super speedway. I want to say it's Talladega, I think. Yeah. So 2 weeks from now it'll be at Talladega, and then they're going to be, and then they got a couple races, but then the last race of the season is at Phoenix. So I want to say the cutoff race is at the road course in Charlotte. I think it's next round, and then pretty much after that it's Phoenix back in November. So Is that like Tom Baker? Like they might can win because it's with Speedway. So pretty much that, and then like the 2 car races. That's about it. If you're just like a casual fan that's one of this, oh yeah, I'll check it out. This kind of thing.
All right, cool. Are we good on NASCAR? Anything else? You guys want to cover anything on the NHRA at all? Brady, you got the updates on the NHRA over on the dual screen over there? All right, guys. Let's dive. Hey, you know what? Let's start with this since we're gonna kind of switch over to our bread and butter, our meat and potatoes, if you will, of the podcast, the NFL. Let's start with the old playmakers. Nate, why don't you start us off?
All right, so playmaker this week is going to be one Tua Tagovailoa. 6 touchdowns over 459 yards, 469 yards, and they come back win over the Ravens. I think he had 4 of those touchdowns in the 4th quarter, so massive win. Got a lot of people hyped in the media. I know probably his cards probably went up in the hobby over the past couple of days. So, but Dolphins 2-0. They got a big matchup coming next week against the Bills. So, but Tua Tagovailoa, you're my playmaker for this week.
All right, Balls, we'll go to you, then we'll go Brady, and then I'll do me.
Yeah, I'm going back-to-back weeks with Diggs, man. That Buffalo team's a different team with him on the field. 12 receptions, 148 yards, 3 TDs. I mean, him and Josh Allen together are unstoppable right now. And, I mean, looking back on it, like, yeah, he's not going to put up those numbers with Cousins. But, man, like, Minnesota gave up a really good receiver in Diggs. And it's not a knock on, Jay Jet at all. But, man, like, looking at that, Diggs is another caliber right now. He should be in that top 1 discussion with Devontae Adams.
I think like a lot of people though, I think I really love him in Buffalo. As much as being a Vikings fan, I love seeing him. I mean, I've been kind of that on the AFC side, loving the Bills and liking the Bills for a while, and I think it's just the perfect fit as we're seeing with Josh Allen. Like, I think he's a different player with Allen. That just their styles just play so well hand in hand. So
I mean, who wants to play with Kirk Cousins too, though? So let's be real.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
I know, I gotta hate, but yeah, I'm taking Diggs.
All right, Brady, who you got?
I will admit that it's a little bit of a homer pick, being a Michigan guy, but in your second ever NFL game, Aiden Hutchinson had 3 sacks in the first half for the Detroit Lions. And I think it's kind of a good thing for that team that has not hit on a lot of draft picks to see him get out of the gate right away. We saw this explosiveness at Michigan last year, so it's good to see it translate to the NFL. But it kind of sparks a little bit of a bigger conversation of should he have been the number 1 pick? Trayvon Walker went first this year, and Aiden went second, both defensive ends. So it'll be very interesting to look back in Week 18 and kind of see where these guys' seasons end up. But the leader out of the clubhouse right now is Aiden Hutchinson.
Doing what they thought he would do, just move right over into the NFL and be a beast. So mine is going to be a homer pick too. It's going to be the likes of Aaron Jones, the Packer running back in Green Bay over there in Lambeau Field. He had 15 carries, 132 yards, averaged almost 9 yards a carry, had a TD rushing, 3 receptions, 38 yards, had another TD. I mean, the dude some people would argue the fact, and it's not saying this after the big week he had over the course of the last few years. Some would argue that they feel he can be in that top 10 talk of running backs in the NFL. And, I mean, when he gets the ability, he gets the touches, he does make things happen. He's a playmaker. I mean, it's obvious. We saw it. We saw it this week. We've seen it in past weeks last year. So I'm going to go with Aaron Jones. That's where we're at. So let's pop right into it. Let's get right into let's start with Thursday night's game. The Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs pull it out 27-24. They did end up with that 51-point total. What did Vegas have it at? 51.5?
54.5.
54.5. So it did come under. So, a couple things, right? Obviously, Herbert had a monster game, with Keenan Allen being out this first week, with Keenan Allen being out, with him getting hurt week 1. Mike Williams has 8 receptions, 113 yards, and a TD. Herbert goes 33 for 48 with 334 and 3 TDs. He got hurt at one point. I mean, he got blasted. He looked like he was in severe pain, and he still came back out and threw a TD. So I guess let's just start here. Watching this Chiefs-Chargers game on Thursday night, what kind of just processes thoughts? What are you guys thinking right now, looking at these two AFC teams as they collide, and it's basically a 3-point win by the Chiefs? Where do you see these teams as we're sitting 2 weeks in?
Exactly how I predicted last week. No, I think the Chargers. I think it's just a young team. I think the early part of the year, you got a defense that had a lot of additions, gelling. That's why I took the Chargers to win the Super Bowl, and I took the Chiefs week 2 because I think it's just one of those early season type things. I like what I saw from Herbert. You want Keenan Allen back, so I don't think there was anything super surprising.
Yeah, the only real takeaway I really took from that game, it could have went either way, but I was interested in seeing Brandon Staley's approach in it. He really had some opportunities where last year there was 4th down opportunities that he would have went for it. And this year he even made the remark after the game that he was trusting his defense, and rightfully so. They put a lot of resources on that defense. The defense played really well all night too. It kept them in the ball game. But it's interesting. I think if they meet later in the year, like Brady's saying, I don't know the next time they play, but say it's the second to last week in the season, we may see a different coaching approach to that game too, where Staley may be more aggressive. Right now, he's trying to feel out his team and what's best too. I think that's what we saw this week was he understood kind of situation was a little bit different, not to always go for it. And, they ended up losing. We may see a different approach the next time, though.
Nate, any thoughts?
I mean, pretty much, I gotta say that it was a very gutsy performance from Herbert because that man took a shot. He obviously in pain today. He still threw a dime to I forgot who it was. But he threw a dime down the field touchdown to Johnson Palmer. That's who it was. Johnson Palmer, I believe, for a touchdown. So that was crazy. Almost came back and actually won the game. So, but.
And the play before that, Nate, too, he was scrambling outside the pocket, and he could barely throw it away.
Oh,
he was in so much pain.
Yep.
And then we're talking, he put it on in the best spot you could possibly put it on, like a 40-yard rope, too, in clutch 4th down situation.
Yep.
I mean, you can't question the guy's heart.
Yeah, so I'm like this game kind of it kind of showed kind of how close the Chargers and Chiefs are because the Chiefs only they're maybe one guy with 50 yards that was Kelsey with 51, but besides that, I mean Mahomes didn't put up crazy numbers. So
is it weird to anybody else seeing Khalil Mack in a Chargers in that baby blue uniform? Just strange. When they were showing the TV again, and I was just I continue to forget that he went there, and I'm seeing him in that baby blue uniform is just strange to me, just odd. So,
no, I think Balls made a good point though. The one thing about Staley going for stuff, I think that's a good approach to take against 31 or 30 other teams. You don't do that with Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, you don't. I want Herbert out there. I want him going gunslinging it. This is a playoff game. Maybe it's a different mindset, but this early in the year, man, let Herbert fling it.
And we don't want to shy away. I mean, Mahomes, he's 24 for 35. He had 235, 2 TDs. But again, he didn't have to do a ton, right? He didn't have to do as much as he maybe normally does week in and week out. He's that quarterback. He's showing that he can turn it on and turn it off when he needs to, or how much he needs to do. Kind of like a Brady-esque, if you will. Not quite the championship as a Brady, but getting there. So, all right, let's move on. Let's move into the next game. We got the Giants the Panthers at New York, the Giants in New York. This was a 19-16 game. A couple things to highlight. CMC was 15 for 102 yards. D. Jones, 22 for 34. Daniel Jones, 176 and a one passing TD. And then our boy Barkley, who had a monster week one, kind of his comeback week, if you will, 21 for 72 and 3 receptions, 16 yards. Kind of a flat, what's his face? Baker really didn't do a lot either. I think he threw for 190 something or something like that. But kind of a flat offensive game, if you will. You guys see this? Did you guys see this game any different way? Did you guys feel like Carolina would beat New York, or did you feel like New York had this game?
I'm just glad Saquon Barkley had 20 carries. It just shows he's healthy. It's just all you want to see.
Yeah, I'm not gonna really. The Giants are 2-0, but is anybody impressed by that 2-0 right now? I don't think so. I mean, let's see it. I mean, that's all I really have to say. Matt Rule, I think, is a terrible coach. He'll be gone possibly by the end of the year in Carolina. So, I mean, that's really all I have. It's way too early for both those teams, but I don't think the Panthers are good, and I really don't think the Giants are either.
Right. All right, let's get into the next one. New England Patriots at the Steelers, 17-14. Mac Jones, 21 for looks like 35 or 38, 252 yards, one passing TD. Nelson Aguilar, 6 receptions, 110 yards in a TD. And Turd Bisky just sucking it up. When is this guy? We talked about this week one, right? When is the switch going to happen? We talked about it last week. I want to hear another weekend, another just not a good performance from Trubisky. When are we going to see Pickett take this Pittsburgh team over? Is it going to be that week 3, 4, 5, or are we still thinking we're later in the season, 7, 8, 10? Talk to me.
Shoot. If Mitch keeps playing like this, probably gonna be like a week 4, week 5 kind of thing, because Mitch I don't know, he just missing open guys. He just he's just not playing well. And then obviously, like with Pickett being a first round pick, a lot of hype. So I mean, Mitch probably got maybe like a couple more starts to try to like turn around. But if he does it, then yeah, it's gonna be a early exit for the starting job for Money Mitch, I think.
I'm thinking week 5 is a window.
Yeah,
They're the Thursday night game this week. Then they have a home game against the Jets. That makes sense. And then you got Bills, Bucks, and then a Sunday night football game. Like, it's not any three things you want to throw a rookie quarterback in. So if they're going to make a switch early, it'll be week 5. If they're going to ride Mitch, it'll be week 9, week 10.
Yeah, I'm right there. I think, they're 1-1 right now. They were in this game. They're not going to move from Mitch just yet. If they were 0-2 with this kind of play, they lose 3 in a row, then we're talking something, But right now, 1-1, they're going to stick with Mitch. Tomlin's going to hope that, when they brought in Mitch, they weren't expecting him to light the world on fire. And if they were mistaken. But they expected him to stay in ball games, make hopefully a few plays here and there, and have that defense and that run game carry him. I don't think it's changed yet.
And, I mean, no run game. Like, what did Najee have? 40 yards, 50 yards rushing? I didn't even highlight him because the stats just weren't there. I'm trying to just highlight the main stats, things that stick out. So maybe that's something that they need to look at too. And is this part of an issue with just not the ability of Mitch Trubisky to make things happen on the pass game, where it's not opening up anything for the run? So they're looking for run every time, the defense is, and they're just stacking up probably. So it'll be interesting to see going forth. All right, let's pop into the next one. Tampa Bay at the Saints in New Orleans, 20-10. Mike Evans sticks up for his GOAT dog, Tom Brady. Even says to the refs, "That's Tom Brady." He's like mouthing it. They made it. They highlighted or showed it or something, and then they show him giving him a hug after the game, like on the sidelines when he's ejected or whatever, saying he always have his back. But Brady really pretty flat, right? I mean, he did throw 34 times, 18 for 34, 190 yards. He did have one passing TD. But again, this was just a defensive special teams type deal. Tampa Bay showing that they still have that defense. Winston taking a lot of shots, taking a lot of deep shots. I watched the game. I'm going to tell you, though, like, I like the confidence. I like the ability, the risk factor in him taking those deep shots, hitting some and turning over the other times. But 25 for 40, 236 yards of passing TD. Another thing that sticks out to me is Chris Olave. He had 5 receptions, 80 yards. And then Michael Thomas, 6 receptions, 68 yards and a TD. But Olave, it's nice to see getting in there, getting some production, them starting to go. But where do you guys see this game?
It felt like vintage Tom Brady when he was with the Bucks and they just won ugly games because of their defense. Or when he was with the Patriots, I meant. Right now the Bucks aren't a good team, but I'm not going to judge that offense. There's a lot of injuries on that offensive line. I don't think we hit the panic button unless, week 7, we're seeing some of these struggles. Tom Brady missed all training camp. Their timing's clearly off on some things. And, that run game was non-existent. They got dominated at the line of scrimmage. And it goes back to injuries. They're not healthy. They haven't had time to really get the reps in with Brady. I don't care who else is in the game. Brady's different. That's kind of how I see it. I'm not panicking on the Bucks just yet.
Brady, Nate, nothing for me.
It wasn't all like ball from us hit the nail on the head since it was an ugly game, but Tom Brady QB made no plays at the end to win it. So I agree. It's way too early. Like I said, it's only week 2. They got a ton of injuries. I'm not worried about the Bucs, especially in that division. Yeah, I'm not worried.
All right, sounds good. Let's jump into the next one. We got the Jets at Cleveland, 31-30. The Jets pulling off a win against those Brownies. Joey Flacco, 26 of 44. The old Raven Flacco coming out to play, having a party. 307 yards, 4 TDs. Garrett Wilson, the rookie, 8 receptions, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Amari Cooper on the Cleveland side, kind of the highlight, 9 receptions, 101 yards, and obviously the TD. So Mr. Flacco comes back and throws up over 304 passing TDs. Where did you guys see this game? I mean, this is, I think, a surprise to most. I don't know how many people had the Jets winning in Cleveland. I could be wrong. Talk to me.
Sure, like the Browns had the game in the bag because it was up 30-17 with like a minute 34 left, I think, and Joe Flacco and the Jets scored 2 touchdowns within that time frame to win. So, I think Nick Chubb said at the end of the game, he said I thought we had a game in the bag. I thought we won. So, hats off to Joe Flacco and the Jets not quitting, still putting up points, and this got to be a heartbreak win for the Browns. You dominated on the run. Nick Chubb had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Chubb looking like a monster.
The pass game got a little traction with Mark Cooper over 100 yards and a touchdown. So,
and then you got the MILF hunter on the sidelines. I mean, if Flacco keeps doing these kind of performances, he might be hanging out on the sidelines for a couple years here. I don't know how many more years Flacco got in the bag. I mean, that Cleveland's not a slouch team, especially in Cleveland to pull off a performance like that. But I don't know, Brady, got anything?
This is just one of those games that if you're a Browns fan, you're trying to get to Deshaun with a record that puts you in the playoff hunt. This game you have to win, and it's going to be one you look back and hopefully you don't look back in week 17, week 18 and go, that's a game we gave away, and it's going to cost us. So.
Wait, let's move on. Let's do Washington at Detroit. Now, before I go over some numbers, I'm going to and I apologize to those 2 things. We didn't do a Caffeine with the Stream team talking the plays because I was just too far behind. We were out running still. In fact, I ended up doing my Core 4 video, which was days late, and I thought it uploaded, and it didn't actually even upload until like afternoon, like after the games. That's when it had posted. But this was a big game. This was a game that I decided on fantasy wise DFS to target, and I was heavy on the Arizona Las Vegas game, like a lot of people were. But I figured I wanted to take a different angle because I was still going to ride the Wentz train, and I felt like not a lot of people would still be going there, even though he had a good game week 1. Because sometimes in DFS or daily fantasy, people kind of go off of someone's big performance, and then they just play him the next week because of that. But I wanted to go different. I wanted to take different angles and post in different people. And so one of my main quarterbacks was Wentz. I was matching him up with Dotson. I had Dotson, Logan Thomas, and then I was doing Jamal Williams, who didn't do enough for me because Swift was the monster there, but he was cheap. That's kind of why I threw him in as a pump play. And then I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, who absolutely beasted as well. So let's just look at some of these numbers here. Detroit pulls out the win. Washington started really slow. In fact, it was scaring me on the DFS side of things because Wentz and their offense just couldn't get anything going in the beginning of the game, and really almost the first half. But it ends up being 36-27, Detroit pulling the win off. Wentz throws 46 times, 337 yards and 3 TDs. Goff, on the other hand, not a bad game either. 20 for 34, 256 yards. He had 4 passing TDs. So I guess, probably the real play here, if we want to kind of digest and talk a little bit about DFS, something you would learn or look back on something like this is if I had enough kahunas to play Goff over Wentz, feeling like Goff would actually put up better numbers overall, you probably would have got Goff in DFS on like your FanDuel big tournaments, your DraftKings big tournaments. You probably would have got him at around, I would say 3 to 5% max, which is absolutely insane. And if you can have a quarterback at the price he was priced at, which was low, to gain salary for your rest of your builds, you're looking at, you're looking at huge leverage right there. And if you were stacking them, which you'd probably stack with someone like St. Brown, which is going to be higher owned, with the low ownership that you're gauging from Goff, like that's really the play. So when you digest this and you look at this, how you learn from things like this is kind of how you have to look at it when you're building your lineup before things happen. You got to go, okay, I'm going with this game stack. Who is the guy that this could end up being a potential somewhat shootout? Or that's how I see it. Who is the guy that everybody's going to be going after in this game, even though this will be a lower owned game in general, and then maybe flipping it and taking that higher risk on that obviously lower owned, because that's how you gain that leverage in DFS. But Swift had a great game as well. Thomas got one in, he got a touchdown. Just overall, it wasn't bad, at least on my end for DFS, but I just look back and I go, man, if I would have really thought about playing Goff, I probably would have been that much better, because I would have gained more points off the TD. I would have had low ownership. That would have gained me more salary. But where did you guys see this game just overall?
There we go. Look at this game. I'm like, Detroit Lions is going to be might be a problem for some teams this year. They put 35 points against the Eagles week 1, and then they put 36 again against the Commanders week 2. So the offense is good. They got tons of weapons. I'm around St. Brown. Like I saw. I think it was like a stat put out. Like I think like the last 8 or 9 games, he had at least like 8 catches and at least 80 yards in like each of those games. So I'm around St. Brown. He's a stud. They got Down Swift was good out the backfield as well. Like he had 5 for 56 on the ground, and then he caught passes for a touchdown as well. So it's crazy because DJ Chark, when he got in all season, he called 0 passes. So and he still won by 9. So like their offense is good. They got some guys on defense. So my main takeaway is like the Lions could be a problem this season. They could definitely surprise a couple of teams, I think, this season.
Yeah, they had, I think it was 20 rushes for 191 yards, 24 rushes for 191. Yep. I think they're averaging like 7.4 on the ground per rush this year. They're dominating the line of scrimmage. And, Brady hinted on it, that defensive line's winning too, with Hutchinson. So they're winning in the trenches, and that doesn't surprise me because they want to be a physical team, just like their coach, Dane Campbell. So You know, they're not going to be a team that they're not the same old Lions that people think. When you see Detroit, it's not an automatic W anymore.
Yeah.
Brady, anything?
MCBC.
No, you good? All right, let's move on. This game was absolutely fireworks here, guys. This was a heavy if you were playing these guys fantasy wise, if you were playing these guys like either fantasy wise or just in general, like this game, looking at this game, I mean, wowzers. We are talking about a absolute insane performance for some players. And let's just start. Let's start at the top with one of the playmakers, probably the best top playmaker, if you want to, by stat wise of the week. Tua, 36 of 50, 469, 6 TDs. You got two receivers that both get 11 receptions. You got Hill and Waddle, 11 for 190 and 11 for 171, each getting 2 TDs. I mean, monstrous. And then Lamar Jackson, you got going 21 for 29, 318, 3 TDs, rushing 9 times for 119 yards and a rushing TD. And then Bateman, 4 for 108 with a TD, and Andrews, 9, 104 with a TD. So, I mean, talk to me, guys. Digest this game. This was an absolute 42-38. Miami pulls it off, obviously, with 2 of 6 TDs.
All the Tua collectors in the hobby were letting everybody know what they thought about everybody's opinion of Tua over the last year. But I don't know. I think it's a really good performance by Tua, but I don't put a ton of. I mean, Baltimore basically played prevent defense the entire second half, which was a very interesting way to lose a ball game. So, I mean, you want to see that from the. I mean, that's why you brought Tyreek Hill in. That's why you drafted Jalen Waddle, was to make Tua look like a very, very good quarterback, and that's exactly what they did. So,
yeah, and Lamar made NFL history with a 75-yard touchdown pass and 75-yard touchdown run. Only player to ever do that in the league. Lamar's on a different stratosphere right now, I think, too. He's doing things for that team. Bateman's really come along so far with him, and they lose that game. I don't understand it. I mean, you get beat twice. One of them was really bad, getting beat by Hill. Nobody around, nobody behind him. Again, though, like, we'll see what Miami's made of this upcoming week, because I think they have Buffalo, correct?
Yep.
If they got Buffalo, let's see what they're made of, because I'll tell you what, I don't know if you guys watched that Buffalo team last night, but that team is on another level.
All right, anything else? We good? Anything else you want to touch on with that game? All right, we'll move on. Colts at the Jags. Where's Alex B when you need him? Here's where he gets to cheer, Jag, the chat. So, what a lopsided game. What a who saw this coming game, if you will. 24-0 in Jacksonville. Jonathan Taylor, man, held the 54 yards, 9 rushes. Ryan, 16 for 30, 194, 5 yards, no TDs. T-Law, 25 for 30, 235, and 2 passing TDs. Christian Kirk, 6 receptions, 78 yards, 2 TDs. What happened here? I didn't see much of the game, but anybody who watched, saw highlights, saw anything on it, dove into it. I mean, were the Colts flat? Was it just one of those games where they were just not there? They were off? What happened?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Like to begin the season, the coaches just looked flat. They to be honest, they probably should have lost the game week 1 to the Texans where they tied, and then they just came out flat in Jacksonville. But just Matt Ryan was essentially like under pressure. I know Jacksonville got 5 sacks on them, so that caused a good amount of interceptions. I mean, they couldn't really run the ball. I know they have Michael Pittman Jr. out, so they have like no weapons essentially, and then I know they got a couple injuries on defense, but still they just came out flat. Jacksonville dominated the whole time, and might have to start looking at Frank Wright and Indy if the Colts don't pick it up soon. It could be on the hot seat. Their enemy. So
If you had to ask me at the beginning of the year to make a list of the worst teams in the NFL, the Texans and the Jaguars probably would have been on that list. And the Indianapolis Colts just tied and lost 24-0 to those two teams. I don't know what's going on at Indy, but that I understand Pittman's out. They have no other weapons. There's nobody in that receiving core that's any good. And then when you have Matt Ryan not being able to throw the ball, I mean, Jonathan Taylor had 9 carries. The best player, arguably the best player in the most impactful player in the NFL, that's not a quarterback, had 9 carries for your football team. You don't win games like that. And they aren't going to win many more if they continue to play like that.
And I mean, if Alex is still in the chat, congrats on being 1-1 for the first time in forever. But
Wells takes a shot.
Yeah, but you guys travel to LA and play the Chargers next week. So back to reality next week for you. Take a shot at the Bears. Get out of here. You're a Jags fan. Go back to the hole.
All right, let's move on. Falcons, Rams at LA, 31-27. He ain't talking anymore, is he? Cricket. Where is he? All right. We got Mariota, 17-26, 196, 2 passing TDs. Drake London, 8 receptions, 86 yards a TD. Kyle Pitts? Where is this guy? Where is he? Is he going to play this season? I thought Mariota, I was talking these stats, trying to be like the genius here preseason, talking about Mariota when he's a starting quarterback and his tight ends finish top 10, 5, 6, and 8 in the last 3 seasons. And I get everybody to draft Pitts higher than he should have been drafted. Maybe that was just me trying to fool him. I don't know. But where is he at, man? Where is he going to show up and play? Is Mariota going to get involved? But then on the other side of the ball with LA, they had that bad week 1, but they played Buffalo, right? Stafford, 27 for 36, 272, 3 TDs, and then Mr. Triple Crown, Cooper Kupp, does it again, 11 receptions, 108 yards, and 2 TDs. Are they back? Is it Backstreet's back all right, or is it Stafford's back all right? Talk to me, guys. What are we seeing here?
I'm more concerned about the Rams, man. I mean, Atlanta's not a good football team, and I mean, it's just they can't run the ball, save their life, and again, Stafford threw 2 more picks. So, I mean, Cooper Kupp's going off like he always does, but man, this is one of those longer term views that I said last week. If they don't figure it out, it's going to be very rough sledding in the playoffs. They'll be there. They'll be either in contention for a playoff spot or in the playoffs, but man, they need to figure it out.
Yeah, and even they tried to get Cam Akers and Allen Robinson involved this week, and I mean, really, they caught probably the biggest break in the division. We all agree that Trey Lance was maybe that boomer bust in that division for the Niners, and now, I mean, they get Jimmy. We know what Jimmy is, but I think it's still the Rams. They've got time to kind of bring it together, but they look like they're having a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave this comment up. Tom gets to be in here when there's when we're talking Stafford, so he gets to keep this comment up the whole rest of the stream. Just for you, buddy. Stafford made more iffy throws per usual, taking his shots as he should. But Nate, you got anything on this game?
I mean, like I said, that I was one of the guys that had high hopes on Kyle Pitts as well, and yeah, it's been disappointing. I don't know what it is. I guess teams are just make sure that he's just out of the play, because Drake London, he's been balling out the first couple of games. He's been looking good as advertised at the 10th overall pick, so he's been balling out. But yeah, Kyle, they got to find a way to get Kyle Pitts either on some screens maybe, or some more slant routes, or move around in a slide or outside, just to kind of give him some breathing room, because he hasn't done nothing this season. So
yeah,
like I said on that.
Yep, I know, a little disappointing, but All right, let's move on. Let's go to Seahawks, Niners in San Fran. Another disappointment, if you will. Tom T brings it up actually right in the comments. Lance injury will likely be the best for the Niners. I believe they will now go on major roll. So this brings up interesting topic, right? So Jimmy G, how often can I say in life, everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why they tried to shop him around. They didn't get rid of him. You hate to see somebody get hurt. That's not what we're looking for. But at the end of the day, there's obviously a reason why they have another starting quarterback in San Fran as their starter goes down. So San Francisco loses Lance. How much of a loss really is it, though, with them having Jimmy G still there as that backup, if you will, quarterback? And yeah, Jimmy G comes out and what did he do? He threw 13 for 21, 154 yards and a passing TD, 27-7. I mean, obviously, first off, to Trey Lance, hopefully it's something that he bounces back from. Usually with injuries like this, in the way the medical and everybody else, if the physicians are, they can come back and still have successful careers. But all the best to him. And Geno Smith, 24 for 30, 197. Tyler Lockett, 9 receptions, 100 yards. Again, a dominating performance by the Niners. Anything specific or anything you guys want to touch on this game?
I guess the only thing is that to be honest, the 49ers team kind of woke up a little bit when Jimmy G kind of got in the game. I know Jimmy G stats doesn't look like crazy off the sheet, but the team kind of looked like they came alive a little bit when he came in. So I mean, I'll just suck that Trey Lance is gonna be out, but I mean the team knows Jimmy G knows the team, so I don't think the 49ers gonna miss a beat at all.
Yeah, if you look at the game, they threw it 24 times that game. They rushed it 45. That's a big difference right there. They controlled the line of scrimmage. I think the Eagles only had Seahawks only had 15, 16 carries in that game. It was nothing crazy. So obviously game script matters, but I would kind of argue against Tom T's point that this is the best thing to happen for the Niners. I think this puts a cap on the Niners season. Jimmy G, as much as Tom T hates him, doesn't beat Matt Stafford in a playoff game, I don't think. Maybe that defense, the Niners defense, is going to carry him. We know the game plan. But do you feel confident against Jimmy G taking on the likes of a Herbert or Mahomes in the playoffs, beating an Aaron Rodgers? Yeah, the Niners have done it. But there's not really a QB that we've named, the upper echelon QBs, you're not taking Jimmy G over. And really playoffs come down to your quarterback a lot of times. Can they make that play? Stafford did it last year. And so far, they've had really great teams, but Jimmy G hasn't done it in the playoffs ever.
Well, there's two things that come to my mind after the Lance injury. And I think we touched on it in our first week, was the Niners might be in a better spot now, weeks, through week 8, right? Because that's what we kind of had identified of Trey Lance's growing pains and experience, but you're gonna have to convince me that this team's in a better case in the playoffs with Jimmy G than Trey Lance. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the team has a higher ceiling with Trey Lance. The one thing I do wonder, though, is there was a lot of media stuff after Lance losing to the Bears. There's not any distraction anymore, right? It's now Jimmy G, and that's it. Everybody on that team knows he's the quarterback for the rest of the year, and you ride or die with him. There's no hearing in the media if they lose a bad game because Trey Lance struggles. You got to ask. Jimmy's getting questions about, do you work with Trey on any of this? Is it Jimmy G time? Blah, blah, blah. Nope, nothing like that anymore. So that might be a head clearing for the team in general. But I think if they're going to make a significant run in the playoffs, Trey Lance was your best option to make that run, and that's now off the table.
All right. Yeah, I think we pretty much hit that. I don't know if T Cub is still here. So he wanted us to talk Bears Packers before he went back to work. So we're gonna jump a little bit. He wanted that. He asked for that. So we're gonna talk about it. We got Green Bay 27-10. Justin Fields 7 for 11, 70 yards. That's not going to get him to 4,000 in the season. By the end of the season, if we're doing stuff like that. Aaron Rodgers, 19 for 25, 234 yards and 2 passing TDs. Aaron Jones, 15 of 132, 1 TD, 3 receptions, 30 yards, and a receiving TD. I cannot speak anymore. All right, so digest it, break it down. Is Justin Fields going to throw for 4,000 yards this year still? I mean, we're only 2 weeks in. I mean, what are we talking here, guys? Come on, let's paint a picture. Let's see where we're at.
No, they don't trust him. They don't trust him, and we are a week 2, and I am not happy that we have Nagy 2.0 as an offense. I know the running game was very much working in the second half. I mean, you look, Montgomery averaged eight yards a carry. Khalil Herbert averaged 9.5 a carry. But man, you are down, and you need your quarterback to make plays, and they don't trust him to do it. So until that game script changes, I have no hope or optimism for the Bears moving forward.
Yeah, they have to open it up this week with them, because I'll give you the pass week 1 with the conditions that you played in. The game script this week was try and keep Aaron Rodgers off the field, and by doing that, we took the ball out of our biggest playmaker's hand, in my opinion, which is, Justin Fields. Moral of the story is the game came down to number 58 for Chicago. If that man wants paid, Roquan Smith looked like Roquan shit this week, because he did not look good. He got dominated by the Packers running backs, and there's no way you want paid in the top 5 as a linebacker. You go back and watch some of that tape. Gross. If he's going to play at that level, he's not going to be on the Bears this next year, because they're not going to pay him that amount. And I just seeing some of the stuff that I saw, he looked slow. He didn't wrap up. That's what the game came down to. Roquan had your playmaker, Jeff, is Aaron Jones. Why? He ran all over. The guy responsible for stopping him is number 58. He didn't do his job. He's not going to get paid.
And there was a lot of talk at the beginning of the year of they didn't think he fit into this defense very well on the weak side linebacker spot. So he's got to step it up. The biggest thing that I saw a couple people talking about. I see Joby one, being a Buckeye fan, go blue. But just kind of asking, is Justin Fields the guy? How do you make that determination if you don't let the guy throw the football? Firstly, there's nobody around him. I saw somebody make a comment that the Bears roster's trash and they need to add a lot of pieces, and Justin Fields is trash. And I said, how can the Bears be trash? That's correct. Yes, they're not a very good football team. How in the world can you know if Justin Fields is a good quarterback if the Bears roster is trash? Every other quarterback who we've seen had success, Tua, who'd they add? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, right? People add playmakers around the young quarterbacks, and the Bears didn't do it.
And I think that's kind of where, that's why, and that's part of what, holds me back, as much as, I think I've said this to Balls before, and I probably even said this to you, I want to see Justin Fields have success in the NFL. I want to see players have success. I'm a fan of him. I hope he does. I hope he has. I hope he can have a solid career. But again, who does he have to throw it to him? Money Mooney?
I mean, Mooney's a wide receiver 2, and then they have a bunch of wide receiver 4s and 5s.
Right, I know, exactly. You got a bunch of bums.
Don't give me Cole Kmet either, because Cole Kmet sucks. He's not good.
He's a tight
end.
What
was crazy watching the game, and they show, how they show the PFF rankings, and they're like, Cole Kmet, why even put it up there? He's 70 out of 70. There's how many football teams So he's like your top tight end, but he's
No, but-
actually ranked like 70th out of tight ends. He's
No,
not
but
even
literally-
ranked like 30, like at the bottom of the first team. Whatever. He's not the worst. He's like the worst of the second stringers, and he's like your tight end one. Like, yeah. I mean, I feel for you guys. I feel for Fields. Like for real, you guys have a good point there. You're being.
I will
honest.
say this. I do think even if the Bears are one of the worst teams in the league, which I still don't believe they're going to be, but if they're up in that position to draft high, they're not going to take a quarterback. We've seen too many flashes from Fields so far that they're going to add a playmaker or an offensive lineman. They have, and that can be argued. Are they one of the worst talent teams in the NFL? Sure. There's teams that are just as bad out there. But the Bears have a way forward right now, and that is next year they have the most cap available. And we're going to see what they really believe in Justin Fields. Are they going to go out and get him those playmakers, or are they really just going to try and build an offensive line and build a solid team and make it to be where you're a game manager and you're not going to be that quarterback that's going to necessarily lose them games? Yeah. We can see T-Cove's comment that he was the Bears' best wide receiver. I know speaking for Brady, probably the Bears fans wanted them to add talent on the offensive side. And we saw Byron Pringle and ESB come in, and it's not the names that could make a difference here. They could have went out and got a guy like Jarvis Landry, a proven vet that can put up numbers. They could have went out and made a splash for a player and just didn't do it. They could have drafted a wide receiver, didn't do it. So, I mean, it's all about next year for the Bears, really, and we're going to learn how they feel truly about Justin Fields, and we're going to see how they build the team.
But that's the frustrating thing. They have $100 million in cap next year, which is like $40 million more than anybody else. They finally have their first-round draft pick, and they're going to get a bunch of comp picks for everybody that they lost this year. So they're going to add a ton of talent, and now you stifled Justin Fields' development for an entire year because you didn't add anybody around him. So now next year, when you add to the defense, you draft to add to your team, now you have – okay, Justin, make this ginormous jump without any sort of reps from last year that were with any player that was still here. Because if Byron Pringle and ESB are on your team next year, you're not competing. So have fun with Mooney and Cole Kmet, I guess, for a year. But it just seems like a complete waste if you're actually trying to compete next year. Add somebody to let him build some chemistry, have some of those moments, and then add some talent next year to try to compete in the division. That's the process you should have done, and they failed.
Yeah, I like it. Anything else? I mean, we touched on this for a while. T-Cub got a good little taste of the boys on the cast here talking a little Bear-Packer game, his favorite game of the week by far, I'm sure.
And nothing about the Packers, really, besides they dominated them. And it feels like –
it's all diving into the Bears and what they need to work on or where they need to be.
It's Groundhog's Day. It's Groundhog's Day.
There you go. All right, Texans, Broncos at Denver, 16-9. Another low-scoring game. I don't know. I mean, obviously the Texans, they don't really have much there. They have long neck Davis Mills. He went 1938, 177. Russ Wilson, he really didn't do a lot. 14-31. I mean, he didn't even complete half his passes. 219 yards of passing TD. Javonte Williams, 15 rushes, 75 yards. Really wasn't involved as much in the pass game again because there really wasn't a lot of pass game in this game from them. Sutton was really the beast over there with 7 receptions, 122 yards. Obviously, Denver pulls it off. They get their first win under Wilson, right? Because they lost to those Seahawks last week. What do you see here in this game?
I mean, there's some cause for concern early on for the Broncos. I mean, they obviously they lost week 1. They had a couple chances in the red zone where the 2 run backs fumbled. So you can kind of be like, okay, that. But against the Texas team, they struggled in the offense and mainly in the pass game and barely won against the Texas team. So a little bit cause for concern. I mean, obviously got some time for I guess Wilson to get more time with receivers. I think Judy got hurt though. Then like Jerry Judy had like a injury in the game, so that's not gonna look. But yeah, I mean, might have to question the Broncos a little bit early on, especially in that division. In my opinion.
I'm muted. Sorry. All right. Arizona at the Raiders. Arizona pushed it to overtime. Gets the overtime win, 29-23. What a fun game to watch at the end there. Kyler Murray, 31 for 49, 277 yards and a TD. Derek Carr, 25 for 39, 252 yards and 2 passing TDs. I mean, it ended up being the shootout that Vegas was saying. It was, one of those top shootouts for Sunday, the high games. Again, I talked about it earlier. They were a mini stack in daily fantasy that I was attacking because I knew a lot of people would be going as a main stack, being it was the highest point total Vegas had for the day. But yeah, Murray getting it done there at the end. I mean, what do you guys see from this game? I mean, not it was kind of spread out like offensively as far as receiving weapons and whatnot. Um, there wasn't really one player that really stood out besides the performances from what the numbers of what the quarterbacks put up. But what do you guys see there?
Devontae Adams, 2 receptions for 12 yards. That is not going to win you football. I know one of them.
And Renfro had what? And Renfro dropped one too, right?
Yeah, Renfro was 7 for 59.
But he dropped one. He fumbled one.
Yeah. I don't know. You paid a lot of money for Devontae, and I didn't watch the game, so I don't know how much of it was just him being double teamed or shut down or whatever. But man, when they're making that ginormous comeback, that's one of those ones where Aaron would have just dialed in on Devontae and said, "Make me a play." And so I'll chalk it up early in the year for Derek just learning to do that, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder. Last week, their game script was heavy. We talked about the targets went heavy to Adams, and now this week it kind of reverts back. So was it the defense, or was it even in the game script that they were going to kind of use Adams as a decoy in a sense? But that makes absolutely no sense, like Brady's saying. Kyler Murray's super fun to watch. I'm still not big on him, but that 2-point conversion, he was running all around. He was making things happen, Cool. I don't think either team's really that good moving forward either. I thought
Where's
the Raiders
Jimmy Guns? Where's Posada and Guns?
I thought the Raiders would be better, but woof, not looking good there either. So,
right. All right, let's move on. Bengals at the Cowboys. There is a new red rifle in town, fellas, and it's called the Red Rush rifle. Cooper Rush. Yes, sir. 19 for 31, 235 yards, a passing TD. Burrow was 24 for 36, 199, and 1 passing TD. And was it Noah Brown, 5 for 91 and one touchdown. Guys, Pollard got in the end zone on a rushing touchdown. Can Cooper Rush be the guy while Dak is not able to play? Is Dallas a contending team? Do you feel like Rush has it? Let me just add something real quick before we dive into it. But last year, Dak was out. When Dak was out against Minnesota, me and my son went to the game. And actually, Rush's dad and like brothers, whatever, were sitting like 2 rows in front of us. But he had a monster day. He put up a huge performance. He had a great game. And this is like his second start, I think, right? So I believe he is 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. And if you take those 2 games that he started or he's played, and you look at what his numbers look like, he's not looking too shabby. He played now. It's the Bengals and it's the Vikes, so the two teams, and it was the Vikes last year, which defense wasn't top, but defense wasn't bad either. And then you got Cincinnati. So I guess the question for you guys is, do you feel like Cooper could be a guy that, he saw he can make things happen? It almost looked like some of these receivers didn't really miss a beat in some cases out there. So, what are you guys' takes on him? Is the Red Rush rifle a real thing, or is this something that's going to phase out and they're not really going to be there in the talks later in the season?
How long's Dak out again? Isn't it like 6 weeks?
Yeah, 4 to 6 weeks, I think.
So I'm just looking forward. Giants, Commanders, Rams, Eagles, Lions, Bears. So Giants aren't very good. Commanders aren't very good. Lions are beatable, and the Bears are very beatable. So, I mean, that's 4 out of 6 games, their next 6 games that are against teams that are very beatable. So if he can get to them 500 by then, I'd say he did his job.
Yeah, I think we agree, but shoot, a point I'm bringing up is, man, Joe Burrow's gonna have a tough time making it through the whole season because, man, he got sacked 6 more times this game, so they got to find a way to block him back because if he keeps getting hit like this season, he's gonna be out by like week 8 because you can't be taking those kind of hits like that each and every game and expect to play 16, 17 weeks. He's not gonna survive. So I'm like, they got to either call more like 2 tight end sets or something like that to try to protect him because Burrow's getting smacked around again in this game. So
Yeah, and one of the guys smacking him around is Micah Parsons. That guy, the more I watch of him, the more I fall in love with his game. That guy's for real.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good deal. Well, this leads us to the Monday night games. So we had Tennessee at Buffalo first. We talked a little bit about before, like how good Buffalo looks to be, and they continue to be a dominating force in that AFC. 41-7. Not even really a game. I mean, they beat them so bad that, you got the likes of guys like Haskins got 9 rushes, like garbage time. Malik Willis got some play in, but Josh Allen, 26-30 for 38 on 38 passes, 317 yards, 4 passing TDs. Steph Diggs, one of the playmakers of the week, 12 for 148 and 3 TDs. Tennessee, really nothing to talk about. I mean, really. Like nothing on the side of that ball to talk about besides, I guess, why aren't they producing? What's happening? What's going on? Why can't – I mean, Buffalo's a stellar team, but they can only put up 7 points in a Monday night game? And he scores!
I watched that whole game, and Buffalo is a team right now, and it feels to be that way, that they can make mistakes and still win a ball game. Josh Allen could have thrown an interception or 2, and they can still win that game. If you are a team like Tennessee coming into that ball game, you can't turn the ball over twice and expect to win. One of them going for a touchdown. You can't. You have to play a perfect game, and I honestly think, are they in Miami? Where are they playing this week? Is it in Buffalo or in Miami? Because that matters.
It is in Buffalo, or sorry, in Miami.
So it may be a closer ball game because of the heat, because of the temp. Early season in Miami is not easy to play in. For Buffalo,
they're gonna have the Monday hangover or whatever, or the being out in Miami, the Miami hangover they call it, or whatever, going out probably clubbing, doing whatever they do.
I don't know, man. So, but I mean, they've scored 72 points. They've only given up 17. So that team's lagging right now, and I think it'll be a close game. I've got Buffalo this weekend winning again. But I think it'll be close this week with Miami because of, being down there. And
do they have a line yet?
Looks pretty good.
Do they have a line yet, Brady, on that game?
I'm not seeing anything.
Not yet. Probably tomorrow or when? Yeah, probably tomorrow or Thursday.
But shoot, like another interesting point in this game is how long of a leash does Ryan Tannehill get? If Tannehill continues to struggle, does he get more Malik Willis from the fans, from the media, So that's another thing to watch out too. So like
And that's actually it's
that's
actually
something to look
something
out
I
too.
would be interested in seeing. As much as I don't know that he's really ready like
Yeah,
Willis yet, because he came in, they talked about it. We talked about this preseason. He came into camp. His footwork was really terrible, but he was one of the quickest learners. Coaches were saying they were praising him for how quick he was developing. I mean, could this be something that this team's just not really in it? Halfway through, 8 weeks in, 9 weeks, and they just say, you know what, let's run Willis the rest of the season. Let's let him progress, get some growing pains, get a couple, get some of that, get repetitions, get some experience, etc. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, what takes place. But
I don't think you won't see Malik Willis on the field unless there's an injury. I think personally, Tannehill's getting paid $40 million this year, and
Yeah.
I know
don't
that.
think it happens.
yeah,
40 million for Tannehill?
This cap hit this year is $38 million, and then they have a potential out after this year if they cut him. His dead cap's like $16 million or something like that. So I think maybe next year, but man, this Titans team was not a bad team last year, and they didn't really change a ton other than AJ Brown. So I mean, I don't know.
Showing right now, early line that I can see is about 4.5 Buffalo. So 4.5 favorite on the road. I wonder if that line creeps closer to 3.5, maybe. We'll see as the week goes on, but whew.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we kind of touched. I mean, I think most of us are pretty solid on the Bills on the AFC side. It's going to be tough, I think, for anyone else. I mean, the Chargers were a team we talked about too. Brady brought up he felt like they could get 12 wins. I think they're right around there. I have Herbert still, maybe MVP, but it's going to be tough, man. Allen is just such a beast. I mean, who knows? We'll see as the season goes. So the last game we're going to touch on, guys, and we'll get this wrapped up. Vikings at Philly, 24-7. This is a heartbreaker for me. But it is what it is. Maybe there'll be a little debate going on here. Hopefully, Ball's got his debacle debate juice in him for this. But we'll just kind of go over some numbers quick. Hurts, 26 of 31, 333, a passing TD, 11 rushes, 57 yards. Miles Sanders, 17 rushes, 80 yards. That still throws me off. I mean, he touched the ball 17 times. But I honestly feel like Philly just still doesn't fully believe in him, and I just don't understand it. I don't get why this guy isn't touching the ball 20, 22 times a game. I mean, 17 is getting up there. When I watching the game, I honestly didn't even feel like he touched it 17 times, but apparently he did according to the stats. He's your best back, but yet you have Byron Scott in there, not even in goal line situation or anything, like literally on like the 40-yard line as they're driving. Like he'll have a great run, end up being there, and he won't even do anything. It's not like he needs a breather. And then you got Byron Scott for 4, 5, 6 downs, or Gainwell you throw in there. Like, I don't know. That's one thing I've never been able to understand, and that's why I have a hard time playing him or picking him in fantasy. Dallas Goedert, five receptions, 82 or 87 yards. I think he had one decent drop as well. On the Vikings side, I mean, really the only player I can even highlight for anything is Dantzler. That dude was absolutely the only beast monster on the Vikings side of the ball on defense. He was all over the place. I don't even know how many tackles he had. I didn't look at it. But if he wasn't involved in a tackle, he was involved in most plays at some point on that defensive side. Jefferson shut down 6 receptions, 48 yards. Kirk Cousins, 27 for 46, 221, one passing TD. That Irv Smith drop, I think, was a big thing. That probably was a touchdown. I mean, pretty much wide open, in stride, and just absolutely drops the ball right in his hands. I guess before we get into the momentum and whatnot, what are you guys' takes on this?
I guess for me is Jalen Hurts is showing some aggression as a QB. He made some throws on the run. He made some good throws within the pocket. He would look downfield when he out of the pocket. So honestly, the biggest question for the Eagles coming to the season was, can Jalen Hurts take the next step? Is he going to be as bad as a passer, much of an accurate passer? And so far he has. So I mean, honestly, again, it's only week 2, so I can change, but you gotta be, looking good at Hurts. Devontae Smith got involved early at the end, 0 catches last week. So, and then the defense, after giving up 35 points to the Lions, they tightened up. John Gannon finally called an aggressive game for one start. Had the corners press up a little bit and also caught some blitzes at the end, which caused some bad throws from Cousins late. So it was just a good solid overall performance from us. So, like I say,
Balls, Brady.
Nothing for me.
Okay.
I mean, Hurts was effective. He looked really good. I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, Cousins didn't look the best, but like you said, if that catch is made, who knows how that night turns out?
Because what was the score at that drop?
Oh, that was like the second quarter, right? I think.
It was early.
Yeah.
So,
like
I want to say it was maybe 14-7.
Yeah.
So that could have tied. That could have been a tie game right there. So again, that's maybe going to lead into our little debacle debate here on momentum and whatnot. Yeah, momentum. Okay, so and Balls doesn't, and this is a good debate because Balls doesn't believe that momentum has anything to do with sports. I feel momentum has a lot to do with sports. I feel it has to do with it in football, baseball, especially because when the player gets hot with his bat, the momentum just in general. If you're building momentum, you have the momentum. It builds the confidence, not only in you but in your teammates, just as much as it's going to build the disbelief or whatever you want to do when things aren't going the right way or something's not being made properly or plays not getting done right. Your quarterback's missing you a bunch, or you're not getting the receptions. You're not going to be bought into it. You're not going to believe just as much as if your receiver's dropping the ball when you're throwing it right in his hands like Irv Smith. The confidence isn't there. When you build that confidence can overtake talent, I believe, in sports at times. If you're confident, just like in a fight, any fighter, anybody can go out and knock another dude out. Gets a lucky punch. He's confident enough. If his confidence can withstand him, the willpower. I'll take guys in the likes of like Diaz in some of his better days where he could just continue to take punches like guys punch him because he's just taking the blow, being confident, and then just coming back at him and letting him know that, you know what, you can hit me in the face as much as you want, but I'm not going to be like the Tyson where you say if you get punched in the face, someone's got to play until they get punched in the face. So my thing is on momentum. I mean, momentum's going to bring confidence. Momentum's going to help carry that team. And just like whether it's football, baseball, whatever it may be, players get hot when they're hitting home runs every single day, or they're hitting 2 home runs a game or whatever. A lot of that is carried off of the momentum and the confidence that they have from that momentum. So, Balls, how do you not believe in momentum in sports, and what's your debate here?
So your thing is that you believe it's momentum, but I believe it's execution by the player. Like it comes down to that. There is no momentum doesn't matter if the players aren't executing, and that's what it comes down to. It's not like that game would have. Does it change? Yes, but it doesn't mean.
Well, it could have been 14-14. So what happens now when the game's 14-14 and not 14-7? They get the ball back, and now it's 21-7.
It's just okay, but at that point, nothing stops Minnesota from stopping Philadelphia. They just didn't do their job from that point on.
Right, but if
but that's my point. It's they still had an opportunity to come out and stop them. They have an opportunity. A batter can get hot in baseball, but the pitcher always has the opportunity to outperform the batter in that instance.
Tom T says the Big Mo is real.
Okay,
I know everybody argues that, but in my opinion, they dropped it, but at any point in time, they could have came out and made.
I'm not saying they win the game because of it, but I'm saying it changed everything. In my opinion,
my argument is why didn't they stop them then? If it was 14-7, why didn't they stop them? Because they got out executed at that point in time by Philadelphia.
And the momentum of Philadelphia getting the ball back, being up, and being able to go back down is the same thing. So that'd be my argument. So Nate and Brady, where are you at?
Balls, quick question. What do you think goes into execution? Does mindset, does confidence, does any of that stuff go into how well you can execute?
Yeah, but at the same time, we hear about teams that, they get drugged down by the defense, offense. Mitch Trubisky, we saw it for years.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you have really great teams that can overcome that. I don't think in that particular spot in that game, it makes that big of a swing. In that game, I I don't know. I believe in execution is more important than momentum because there's swings in games, but it's those teams making adjustments. We're almost counting it as like, oh, because Minnesota dropped it, Philly went down and scored automatically. It's not that. It's Philly, yes, they got the ball. Yes, it was a huge play. But Philly then had 8 plays that they had to outperform. They had to string together plays, whether they lost one in that series or not. They had to put them together and outperform them to score at that point. Like that's my argument.
And I
Is there
don't
the
disagree
human
with you.
element? Yeah, is there the human element of like confidence and
Emotion.
just the ebbs and flows of like that feeling within players in the game? Yeah. But you always hear about like how they go straight back to that player. Cousins went back to Irv Smith. It's not like the momentum, like he couldn't go back to him because he dropped that one pass. He went back to him. It's just Irv Smith performed better at a different spot in the game.
Yeah,
That's kind of how I feel.
I just think that there's a lot that goes into the execution side of stuff, and pros are a different level. So I'll speak at my experience playing college baseball. Momentum's a big thing in regards to baseball, and the execution that I know amateur athletes can perform is very much directly linked to their mental kind of mindset, their confidence, their emotions in a specific instance. And so I think that can be greatly limited when you have a professional athlete, and especially a professional athlete that's been around for a long time, right? I don't think Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or any of those guys get impacted by big things. Do I think Christian Watson dropping that huge play week 1 in his NFL career, that's going to be a way bigger momentum shift for him and his team than it would be Aaron throwing a pick, right? So there's all these different levels I think that we can talk about. I just would say that, yes, execution, you're right. There was a lot of missed execution afterwards. I would just say let's not limit the human element of emotion, confidence, kind of ability to overcome that. It's why some players step up in a fourth quarter and some shrink, right? It's a confidence in yourself. It's a confidence in your ability. It's how to play with nerves. It's all that type of stuff. And these huge plays can greatly impact all of those categories at different levels for all different people. So a play that might be a big momentum shift in one game for one player with Tom Brady out there, it might not be that big of a deal. Okay, you dropped one. Cool. I've been here for 20 years. I know we can do this. So that's where I think it's this argument or debate can go in all different areas because every different situation is just so specific to the timing, the player itself, the impact it had on the game, etc.
That's why ultimately it's a debate. I mean, because it's something that there's really not a right or wrong. I mean, because you can twist it to any which way. I mean, that's why it's a debate. That's why you would debate it, right? It's not something that really stands on one side or another. Like there's all.
I will die on my hill that the rain delay in Game 7 of the 2016 World Series changed the momentum and let the Cubs win the World Series. I'll die on that hill. I will.
Yeah, that's probably real. All right, well guys.
Brady and Def, you're both wrong. Sorry. I'm right. I know Def said there's no winner, but I'm the winner in this one.
Go to bed like a champion tonight. Just hit that sign when you wake up in the morning. Play like a champ tomorrow. All right. All right. Good debate. All right. Is there anything that sticks out besides we touched on the Miami and Buffalo game next week? Like, is there any games that are just sticking out? We don't really need to dive into them. So we'll talk about them after they happen. But is there anything that sticks out? Then I got to get off here because I got to get a couple things done.
Detroit, Minnesota. That's kind of interesting, I think. Yeah. We're going to learn about those two teams.
Got Rams Cardinals is gonna be an interesting game. Packers Buccaneers.
We'll see what the Colts can do back at home against the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs will take
Get
that.
obliterated.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see if the Jags are for real against the Chargers in Los Angeles.
I think we all know the
Cardinals.
answer.
Rams and Cardinals in Arizona. That could be an interesting game. 3:00 game.
Yeah,
And I think that's probably really what sticks out. What's Monday? Cowboys Giants. That's just a rivalry game. So it's pretty much what we got, guys. Again, if you guys want to try to twist it one more time, we need comments, guys. We need comments when the video uploads. So if you guys can get that popping, if we can get 20 or more different comments, not 5 from the same person. If you want to drop more than one comment, we love to hear it. Just topics, questions. We only count 1 per person when we're trying to get to a certain number. So if we can get to 20 again, we'll run it back with doing a double up on the PayPal, $30 PayPals. So let's see if we can hit it this week. Let's surprise me. Let's see if we can make that happen. Tomorrow night, you guys got anything going on? Nate, you got anything happening anytime soon? Balls, Brady? Nothing.
I'll just be doing my hobby community workout.
Yeah, make sure you're following these guys. Nate does a lot of videos on his channel, The Bull Nate. Balls, drop your guys' links again, or somebody can post the links in the chat so they're easy to click to if they haven't subscribed to them. Balls, put Balls in there too. Balls is doing his weight loss journey, his fitness deal, his hard 75. Guys, make sure you're following him, checking them out, watching the videos, leaving comments, liking them, etc. And then tomorrow night, I did post, I think, today or the other day, I think I talked about it. I am going to do a community hangout. It's been a while since we've done one, and tomorrow night's really the only night that's going to work for me. So I'm going to do a community hangout stream tomorrow night, and I'm going to actually do a little Q&A as well. Haven't done a Q&A on my live Q&A on my channel for probably 2.5, 3, 4 years now. I don't even remember how long it's been, but like to do it. I'm going to kind of open it up to pretty much anything. So you guys want to ask me anything, I'm pretty much free game. I'll, like always, be open with you guys, answer as best I can or tell you how it is. And then we'll just kind of hang out and BS and catch up. I don't know that we'll put any cards up tomorrow night. We'll see. Maybe I can throw a little in the mix as well. We'll just kind of see how it goes. We'll play it by ear. But that'll be happening tomorrow night, probably 6:30, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I might try to get on earlier if I can. But we'll see how that goes. Hour or two hangout, whatever. Just kind of kicking it. So hope you guys can join. Hope you guys hang out. And anything else from you fellas?
No, sir.
We good? We out of here? Till next time, gang. We love y'all. Stay positive. Stay good. Stay up. We out. Good night.